everyone. It is a great pleasure for AMS to host this talk show today, together with Fala Company. Our star guest today is Dana Zohar, a management thought leader, physicist, philosopher, and author. She has published many books, but two of them have become bestsellers: Spiritual Intelligence and The Quantum Leader. The talk will, I'm sure, teach us a lot about the challenges of good leadership, with particular emphasis on the new normal that we all have to get used to in these trying times of COVID-19. The talk will be available on our TV channel and will also have subtitles in Portuguese. Questions, as stated in the invitation, have already been sent in. So without further ado, I welcome Dana Zohar and Vera Lorenzo, who will lead the discussion today. Many thanks to you all for your participation. And now over to you, Vera.
Margot, thank you very much for welcome to Dana. And we're going to start a little bit. Dana, welcome to our talk show. I'm very glad to have you here today.
I'm glad to be here.
So, as I told you, you are very known in Brazil. I don't know if you know that yet. And of course, you're known in the rest of the world as well. But I will tell people a little bit about you before starting the interview. So I will tell the history of Dana. So Dana was born and educated in the United States. She studied physics and philosophy at MIT and postgraduate in philosophy, religion, and psychology at Harvard University. About the dissertation, we talk afterwards. Described by the Financial Times and Prentice was one of the world's greatest management thinkers. Dana has engaged with senior management at organizations including Volvo, Shell, Coca-Cola, McKinsey, and among others. She's the author of several books such as SQ, Spiritual Intelligence, that is translated in Portuguese, The Quantum Leader, not yet translated, and for the past several decades, Dana has made her home in Oxford, England. And currently, Dana is writing the new book, which is going to come out in October, Zero Distance, Implementing a New Paradigm for Living, Working, and Leading in the 21st century. The Bible is going to be the Bible Quantum Management. Dana, I will, to start and open this talk show, I will read a poem that you use in the page 180 of your book, The Quantum Leader, The Music Makers, of the Irish poet Arthur William Edgar O'Shaughnessy. O'Shaughnessy, is that right?
O'Shaughnessy, yes. Good Irish name.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams. Yet we are the movers and shakers of the world forever, it seems. We, in the ages lying in the buried past of the earth, for each age is a dream that is dying or one that is coming to birth. So we are having a rebirth here, and we are very glad to have you, Dana. So I want you to start telling us a little bit about your childhood, that you started at learning physics at the age of 13 because of a book called All About the Atom.
Yes.
I know the name of the book, huh? So tell me, how do you become so fascinated about this subject?
Well, a boy in my class was having a birthday and I was invited to his party. So my mother and I went to get him a present and she bought him this book. And we had to go to the laundromat to wash our family clothes afterward. So I read the book because I was bored. And I was absolutely fascinated by this whole universe within the atom that I had never known about. So I begged my mother to let me keep the book and get the boy something else. I read other books on the atom then. My science teacher was one of those helpful teachers who said, I can't answer your questions, but let's find the answers together.
Oh, that's nice.
And then when I was 15, I was searching through the public library in my city, looking for some more physics books to read. And David Baum's book on quantum theory just popped out at me, sort of saying, take me. And I read that book. It was the first time I'd ever heard of quantum physics. It was full of equations I didn't have the mathematics to understand, but Baum is also a very brilliant writer. So I could read his English and I understood what this quantum physics was all about. And it was the beginning of the rest of my life because I just developed a lifelong passion for quantum physics and what it could tell me as a teenager about myself and my life and the
It's
meaning of
incredible.
life and all those big questions. I went to MIT to study quantum physics because I thought I would become a quantum physicist. But after my first year there, I realized I was much more fascinated by the thinking within quantum physics, the philosophy. And I saw it as a whole new philosophy of life, a whole new way to understand everything. So I changed my degree to both physics and philosophy.
Very similar, very similar. Physics and philosophy, very good.
They're both about asking good questions.
Very good. Very good, Dana.
We have very few answers today, any of us, and what we must all do is ask good questions.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great. So I knew about David Bohm as well, and I think it's very nice and your background of physicist and philosophy exactly because you discovered what matches the both of them, like asking good questions. We have to know more about the world and the world we live and how it can be helpful here. And
in quantum physics, Vera, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle tells us that it is the questions we ask that give us reality, the answers. So in asking questions, we're actually creating the world.
yes, something I always say to people, I think that's the path, the way, the distance between where you are and where you want to be is just a question. Of course,
Yes.
not just a question, but it's just asking people, can I go, where I go? So it's just asking questions. And as you say in your principles, asking whys as well, because you have to go deep inside the questions, not just, let it go, but really deep, and then you go to the other side. And for me, talking to you, for some other people could be impossible. But I just said to myself, I love her so much that I just will ask, may I have a live and webinar with you? And you say yes.
I'm a very easy person, don't worry.
And I thank you very much for that. So then you said crisis is also a great opportunity, once said. What opportunity do you believe people and companies may have after the pandemic situation?
When the 2008 financial crisis happened, I saw that as an opportunity because I thought that was the bottom. And they'd all realized that things weren't working the way business was functioning. But in fact, everybody went back to the same old game afterward because it's the only game in town, they think, the only game they know. This COVID crisis has really hit business. And I think this time, enough companies have either failed or been brought to the edge that I hope they will seize the opportunity finally to realize business needs to think in a new way. And if they don't think in a new way, they won't do in a new way.
They're going to be out of business because the
Yes,
world is asking them. Exactly.
the Western model of doing business is simply not sustainable. It was designed for the industrial age, for the 17th and 18th century, for a technology we no longer use. Today's technology, the silicon chip, which has given us computers and lasers and tablets and smartphones, it's all quantum technology. We live in a quantum age now, and we need quantum thinking to go with that.
Yes, so that's very good because you're going to talk about what is quantum thinking. That's a good question. What is quantum thinking?
Well, I derive it from the principles that define the way quantum physics describes the world. Mankind has always looked to the science of its time, its understanding of the universe, to know how we should behave. We want to copy the way the heavens are. So in the 17th century, Newton's physics, so brilliantly simple, so powerful, took the world by storm. And everybody wanted to be the Newton of his or her field. Freud wanted to be the Newton of psychology. Adam Smith wanted to be the Newton of economics. And Frederick Taylor wanted to be the Newton of management thinking. But at the beginning of the 20th century, this new physics came, quantum physics, and it turned everything Newton said on its head. Absolutely everything. So much so that Einstein and Heisenberg and Schrodinger, the men who discovered quantum physics, couldn't understand it. They thought it was absurd, schizophrenic physics, Alice in Wonderland physics, because it was so different from the way people in the Western world have thought for 2,000 years. We think in terms of either or, of certainty, of predictability, of order, of one truth, one way, one God. It's the Western mind. And Newton's physics had captured all this in equations. But quantum physics comes along and says, no, it's not either or, it's both and. Something can be true, and at the same time, it can be false. Any woman listening to this will know that you can love your husband and hate your husband at the same time.
Oh,
we
yes.
know. And that's true in business. This solution can be right, and that solution can be right. We don't have to choose either or. Rather, we think, what are all the possibilities? Let's explore them all. We're living in a world that is no longer certain and predictable. We don't know what's going to happen next week. And COVID has brought that dramatically home to us. Nobody saw COVID coming. In the space of 1 week, the world changed for all of us. And we're living in a world at the moment we don't recognize. And it frightens us. And the technology is changing every week also. I just finished a book that said in the next 100 years, we are going to experience 20,000 years of innovation.
Imagine.
So we can't any longer have a mindset that is looking for certainty and predictability and saying, well, for the next 5 years, we'll do this. Because you've got to be ready for the next 5 minutes and the next surprise, the next disruption.
Yeah. What you say about that both and I think it's very important because we talk about perspective. This is not a truth. What is the truth? I am here and you are there. You are seeing me, I'm seeing you. So like the truth is just two perspectives from different people. So
well, there is a truth. I don't want to be one of those people who says that there's no such thing as truth, which is one of the problems of our times. But what quantum physics tells us is that we can never know all that truth. I
Exactly.
can know some of that truth. You can know some of that truth.
A
That
part of
doesn't mean everything I think I know is true, but some things I know are a piece of the truth. That's
exactly.
where the principle of humility comes
You
in. We'll
explained much
never know
better than I
everything.
did. You explained much better than I did. Thank you very much. It's a piece of truth. Very good. Then many people, we talk about spiritual intelligence. You wrote this book in several years ago, but many people they are not aware of spiritual intelligence. When they hear the word, they just think about religions. And I would like you to explain the spiritual intelligence and the relation with the IQ and also the EQ.
First, I will tell you how I came to the idea of spiritual intelligence because it has to do with the confusion of religion. I
Yes.
had been raised as a Christian by my grandparents in Ohio, and I lost my faith in Christianity at 11. And then for the next several decades, I was exploring this religion and that religion. I joined a few of them and then left them and joined another one because I never found what I was looking for. And when my children were growing up, they were therefore exposed to Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, and Shintoism. And one day they came to me and said, Mommy, which is true? The Christians say Jesus is a God, but the Jews say he isn't. And the Buddhists say there isn't even a God at all.
Yeah.
Mommy, what is true? And it made me stop and think what I had been doing, looking through all these religions. And I realized that all the religions, for their apparent differences, are looking for the same thing: a meaning to our lives, a purpose to our lives, how we live a good life, how we be good people, what life means, what it means to be alive now, what it means to use my life in a certain way. And I realized that that's the essence of spirituality. It's not religion, it's meaning and having a sense of purpose, um, having a sense of belonging in this universe, being part of this universe, working with this universe and with nature to lead a good human life and to find meaning and purpose in whatever I'm doing with my life. So our SQ, as I call spiritual, has nothing to do with religion. You don't have to be religious, or you can be religious. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's not about what you believe. It's where you find meaning, where you find purpose, and therefore how your life has a sense of destiny about it and a sense of, focus and goal, and you can commit everything about yourself to it.
Yeah,
Now,
it's very important to have the purpose, what you say, that we know what's our purpose in life, what we want to leave as legacy for us as well.
yes, and when we talk about management later, that's one of my central messages to management today. It's not only about the bottom line, how much profit you can make in the next quarter. You've got to go deeper. Why am I in business? What is the purpose of my company? What do I want my company to achieve? For whom do I want my company to be successful? Why do I want my company to be successful? What does it mean to me? So, this question of purpose is about us as individuals, but it's also about leaders of companies.
Yeah, and you say like if you compare, if you have you can measure or compare IQ, EQ, and SQ. How well I know that is SQ is like over them, like
I think
EQ. Yeah,
I think SQ is the foundation of it all, but let me say it in three simple phrases. IQ is about what I think. EQ is about what I feel, and SQ is about what I am.
yeah. I always tell people that, exactly the three sentences. But it's good to hear from you because you started that. And how to develop spiritual intelligence. What kind of advices would you give to us to work on our spiritual intelligence?
Go deeply into yourself and ask yourself, you can do it after listening to this webinar. Go someplace quiet and think deeply. What is my life really about? What do I really want it to be about? What is my purpose? Once you find your purpose, you can fulfill it in many ways. It may be to bring love into the world. It may be to bring service into the world. It may be to make people's lives richer and deeper. Once you have your purpose, then you can do it being a mother, a father, a neighbor, a member of your community, the leader of your company, the teacher in a university. Once you find your purpose, it will then be easy to find how to live it. But
How to experiment this spiritual intelligence?
Yes.
Yeah. And
All the answers, Vera, and this is what SQ is about, really. All the answers are inside us. We don't need to ask wise men and gurus and gods and priests. We know the answers if only we ask ourselves the questions. And the central question of life, I believe, is what is my purpose?
And we really should do that because if we know the purpose, we can run our lives towards the purpose. Because sometimes we really don't know why we are working, what we are doing. And if you know that you want to share knowledge, if you want to connect people, if you want to help people around the world, so it's different. So you understand why you have to work. And that's so good about it.
I've thought about this work a lot, Vera. I used to think, why are we all condemned to work? What is this system that tells us we have to spend 8-10 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week working?
Yeah.
But working understood in a spiritual sense is the Trappist monks used to say, laborare est orare. To work is to pray. Your work can become your vocation, your living prayer. If you're living your purpose in your work, then whatever your work, whether you're a janitor or a tea lady in a company or the CEO of the company, your work can be your prayer, your work can be your life. And then it's a pleasure to go to work. You enjoy your work.
Yeah.
It means something to you.
Yeah, I really feel like this because I really love the work. I love people work with me. I like people that I help with the clients. I really love people, and that makes a huge difference. Because sometimes, of course, you are tired, I'm tired, but this gives so much pleasure that you are happy to do it. And that's the twist in your mind to understand what work is.
And I wish more people could understand that they don't have to have an interesting consulting job like yours,
Yeah,
or a writers and speakers job like mine. You
yeah.
can have that same passion for your work if you are an assembly line worker or a janitor or a cook or whatever.
Or a
Because
lawyer.
if you put your heart into what you're doing and feel you're living your purpose through doing it and it gives you meaning, then the job you will do will simply depend on your abilities, your talents, your interests, etc.
That's really great. And did you observe in the last years evolutions from the companies? Because if you have been giving many lectures, any evolution of spiritual intelligence, Dana?
Originally, I found a lot of companies invited me because it suited them to be seen to be listening to such things.
Yeah.
But they didn't pay much attention in any deep way. And it was the same with my quantum management lectures to companies.
Yeah.
I think with COVID now, even I better understand to say to these companies, look, your very survival depends on listening to this and implementing it. Not
Yeah.
just listening to me for one afternoon as an entertainment in the company,
Oh.
but listening deeply to why this quantum thinking is the way forward for business and why it is the only way for business to be sustainable and evolutionary in the 21st century.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I talk with many HR directors and managers in Brazil, and many of them they've never heard about spiritual intelligence, and they go like, oh, if I tell my CEO about spiritual intelligence, he's gonna say to me, no, we're not gonna do that because it's very strange. And you talk about quantum leader, that's physics.
Well, the work is the same, Vera.
Yeah.
There is no silo in my work, that
I
here.
know, I know. But it's
So
very
the
interesting
quantum leadership that I
yeah,
teach embraces all the things I say about spiritual intelligence.
exactly.
So
But they
most
don't know
quantum
how it
leaders,
works. Yeah, they don't know how it works. That's the point.
well,
They don't know. And that's why I would like to ask you to talk a little bit about your 12 principles of spiritual intelligence.
they're
And
also the 12 principles of quantum leadership.
I know.
So, because the quantum leader is a person who is INSQ by
Yeah.
definition. I was looking for, I don't want rules. I think rules box us in, and rules are inflexible.
That's why
Laws
I
are
said
inflexible. But
yeah.
principles guide us. Principles are a general path that each of us can follow in our own way, but they give us a sense of direction. Now, I looked at what kind of things we are as human beings. We're living creatures, organic systems. We are living quantum systems, what complexity science calls complex adaptive systems.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, what makes life, what makes us as living creatures be sustainable, evolutionary, and purposeful? And there are 12 qualities that living quantum systems have, that our bodies have, that our minds have. And I thought, if I can take those 12 qualities of the complex adaptive system or the living system and give them a conscious equivalent, then we will have 12 principles that we can live by that will mean that we're living our lives and running our companies in the way that nature successfully runs life and physics successfully runs the universe. So the 12 principles, it's important for people to know. I didn't just sit down one day and think, oh, now what would be 12 nice principles? They are derived from science, the science of life, and the science of physics. But then, so in conscious terms, in living terms, we can discuss any one of them you like, but they are self-awareness, being vision and value led, being spontaneous, being holistic, knowing you are part of a system, part of a larger whole. You're not an island.
Asking why.
Positive use of adversity, always finding the opportunity in the crisis. Field independent, being able to think for yourself, stand against the crowd, be willing to be unpopular. But at the same time, always being humble, humility, always saying, could I be wrong? Could they be right? I should listen, think what I owe to others. I didn't do it all by myself. None of us did. And then the next principle is an ability to reframe, to change your mind, to change the game, to change the way you look at something, to change the strategy. And that requires asking fundamental questions, because you have to say, why have I adopted this strategy? Why do I think this works? And could something else work better? Could something be different here that would make everything more successful? So constant questioning myself, questioning my ideas, questioning my strategy, questioning my assumptions, questioning everything.
Yeah, there's something that you said in your book that I like very much. That's a part that you say that a manager said to the team, you go home and then you're gonna write down 10 things that went wrong or are not well done, and bring to me tomorrow. So to know what you can do differently, why you went wrong, that you don't see. Sometimes you don't even see that.
He didn't actually say find what's wrong, but he said to me, because usually the CEO or the board of directors chairman will say, you come back here with answers tomorrow. I want to hear what answers you've got. And Andrew Stone, who was the managing director of Marks and Spencer, said, I don't want your answers. I want your questions. I want you to come in here tomorrow morning with 10 things you don't know, or you think I don't know, so we can question together.
Exactly, you don't know exactly. Not what's wrong. You don't know exactly. Yeah. But it's very nice because we don't ask people what they don't know, and then to get together and find solutions and find the answers.
See, one of the troubles of our current CEOs, which makes their job very lonely and also makes them very arrogant and ego-driven, is they're expected to have all the answers. They're expected to know everything because they have all the power. They have to make all the decisions. They have to tell everybody else what to do in the old system. So they're expected to have all the answers. A quantum leader, a quantum CEO, says humbly, look, I have a sense of how this should go. I have the general principle, but I don't know a lot of things. I need to hear your suggestions. I want you to question me. I want you to make me think, because that's helping the CEO think with the collective intelligence of his organization. And he will be less arrogant, which is always good.
Yeah. Exactly. I always say that is in Portuguese we have two verbs for that. To be. One is to be forever, and one is to be for certain time. I always says that CEO is not, because we say he is like forever. No, he's just in a job position right now, and that can change. So you are as human as the others. So you always also make mistakes. You also need help and everything. So that's important that you are open to listen to others and get information and questions. Well, as you said,
I would just invite CEOs to reflect on what they think when they watch our politicians, because all of us as citizens wish our politicians could once in a while say, I made a mistake and I need to think again.
Good.
And then the CEO can apply that to himself.
Yeah, well, in England you had that COVID because he got sick. Your prime minister.
Oh yes, he got the bug himself. Yes.
And then he said, "Oh yeah, it's not just a small flu. It's really something serious." So he got to understand that after he got sick. So, but it's not like he didn't say it was a mistake. He said, I didn't know before. So like,
but for the sake of things being more successful than they are, it would be good if we don't have to almost die, or our company almost die, before we realize that maybe we've made a mistake and say
Exactly.
so and
Yeah.
ask for help.
Yeah, exactly. So, Dana, how should the companies, would be the first step to the companies to start with the quantum management, to use that and to prove the skills of the leaders, of the future leaders as well? How do you see that?
There are two aspects to leadership of a company. One is to running a company. One is the leadership itself.
Yeah.
What kind of person does the leader have to be? The other is the way the company is structured. How power is filtered through the company. Who makes the decisions? How do people work? I think both the nature of the leader must change and the structure of the company must change.
Yeah.
And the two have to happen together, because today's kind of leader who's arrogant and has all the answers and enjoys all the power could not make the necessary structural changes. Because a quantum company distributes power away from the top throughout the organization. It lets
that's very interesting.
people,
Yeah. Mhm.
people closer to the customer, closer to the client, make the decisions. The CEO of a quantum company gives up most power. But to do that, he or she has to become the kind of person who can give up power, who can say, I don't have to be the one who controls everything. I don't have to be the one who tells everyone what to do. And that also involves trusting his or her people. So
Exactly.
many
Yeah,
CEOs,
sure. Yeah. They have
so
to
many
give up power and
CEOs,
trust. Yeah.
so many CEOs have told me, if I did what you said, it would just be chaos. My people wouldn't know what to do if I told them to make the decisions. Well, that's not trusting your people. Everybody has more potential than they've been allowed to use. And the workplace is a place where 90% of the people are just treated like slaves or robots.
Yeah.
No chance to fulfill their potential, no chance to show what talent they have, no chance to take the initiative or make a decision, because the standard company leaves all that to the CEO and his leadership team. And the
Yeah.
rest are just expected to do as they're told. And that's why the workers are so unhappy. But that's not taking advantage of the collective intelligence in the company.
Because there is always collecting intelligence. But I have one question, Dana. Do you think that if, this change can be done by not like the CEOs, but like managers can start making this change in the company and show it to the CEOs? Or is
No.
it, no?
No, it will not happen unless the CEO is on board.
Yeah.
Middle managers, even semi-senior managers, cannot make the changes. It has to come from the CEO.
Yeah.
The 3 companies that have implemented my quantum management theory, all of them were led by the CEO saying, I have to do this. I have to take the risk. I have to make this happen. I have to give up power. Those 3 companies are Hire in China, which I believe operates in Brazil also. It's a global domestic appliances company. Roche India Pharmaceutical, based in Mumbai, made this implementation. And GE Electronics in America has made this implementation.
Yeah. In India, you did it with Lara, right?
What?
In India. In
That
India,
was Lara
Lara.
Bezzera, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think she's the hero in Brazil.
Yeah. So, and the whys. What is the in the quantum leader you mentioned also the whys. That's whys is important for the CEOs, and we are talking about it. And are they critical the whole scientific spirit and a quantum science? Why do we need to go quantum? How can you introduce the new why? Yeah. Let's, for example, I want to tell a CEO about your work and explain why he should go quantum.
Because the world has gone quantum. We live in the quantum age.
Yeah.
I told you earlier, all the technology that industry uses today is quantum technology. Right now, we're using quantum technology. If it weren't for quantum physics, there wouldn't be computers. There wouldn't be tablets. There wouldn't be smartphones. There wouldn't be laser technology. There wouldn't be solid state technology. There wouldn't be superfluids and superconductors. This is the technology of the 21st century.
Okay,
also, we live in a quantum world in the sense that the world we live in today is not orderly, law-abiding, simple, and predictable. It is complex, uncertain, chaotic, and you must go with the flow. Reality today cannot be controlled. It's out of control.
Yeah.
These managers who think they're controlling their companies, the whole thing is out of control. They're living in illusion. And that's why their companies are failing.
That's good. I explained that.
You cannot be a 21st century CEO with 17th century thinking. It won't work. You wouldn't want to go to a doctor who was trained in the 17th century. You wouldn't want a teacher who stopped learning in the 17th century.
No.
Why do you want a 17th century thinker running your company?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point. He did. And you also say something about the age that talking about how old are we. We have to think about how old are we in the deeper meaning. What is the idea behind the age, and that we found ourselves, as well as the idea of the search for wisdom? Because,
well, I think that essentially wisdom is knowing that we are part of the universe, and therefore how the universe works, and how we work, and how we fit in, how we belong. And from that follows the wisdom of how do I lead a good life, how do I be a good person, how do I serve others, etc. Now, this age thing that you're mentioning is because in many of my lectures, I say to someone like you, how old are you? How old are you, Vera?
20.
20. I don't believe you, but all right. I will tell honestly, if you asked me that question, my first answer would be 76, okay?
Yeah.
But the point is, you are not 20, or whatever you really are, and I am not 76, because you and I and everyone else is 14 billion years old.
Yes, exactly.
Because that's when our universe was born. That's when the Big Bang happened and the quantum vacuum was formed. This quantum vacuum, which is not empty, so it's badly named a vacuum, contains all the possibilities of everything that ever was, everything that is, and everything that will be. So 14 billion years ago, at the beginning of the universe, you and I were there as possibilities. That means we were thought of. We were thought of as possibilities 14 billion years ago. And I believe because we are part of the universe, our bodies are made of stardust, our minds follow the same laws and principles as the universe, that we carry within our consciousness the whole history of those 14 billion years. And that's why I say as Plato did, Socrates did, everything we need to know is inside us when it comes to wisdom.
Yeah.
Not all the facts we need to know, we need to go outside and learn them. But all the deep questions, what should I do? What is my purpose? What do you think I should do in this situation? All those things we run to our friends or our parents or our priest to ask, we don't need them. We know the answer.
I know
We're
inside.
14 billion years old and we've been around a long time. We've seen a lot. We know a lot. And this is the deep meaning of spiritual intelligence or SQ. To have an instinct in my own life of the way the universe functions and to be aligned with that.
Yeah. No, perfect. So I'm 14 billion years old then.
So don't go with this 20 business anymore. Just say, I'm 14 billion years old.
I'm gonna change now. I'm gonna change now. I know for sure.
Anyway, I'm in the old terms, I'm 76 and still having a great life. So
I would say that you are younger because you want to live. You are writing. You have so much to give and to share with people around the globe. So that's why I feel that you are younger.
yes, I feel 20, but my 14 billion years is weighing heavily on me.
Doesn't help. Dana, your book, you finished your book, sharing stories, the quantum leader of some servant leaders. So Juliet, Andrew Stone that you talked about him, and Cheng Feng, and about your view about becoming a servant leader to the world business, like vocation. What did they do that show that they are servant leaders? What to which point that they reached?
Well, let me say that your average business leaders, certainly, but even our political leaders, tend to feel that we serve them. They're the boss, they're in charge, they're the top guy, and we're there to serve them. The quantum leader says, no, I'm here to serve my people. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to serve my customers. I'm here to serve my society. I want to make a successful company because by doing so, by making my company profitable, I can pay my employees well and thus serve them to have better lives. I can make better quality goods and thus make my customers happy, i.e., serve my customers. I can open my workshops and my laboratories to the local students, let them come in and do experiments in the company labs and innovation centers. And I'm serving my community. I can give apprenticeships to young people. That's serving me and my company because then they'll come work for me and they'll be well-trained people. But it's also serving the community. I serve society as a business leader by creating jobs.
Sure.
Business leaders are the wealth makers of society. They should be proud of that. But that makes them the servants of society. I don't want to tell business leaders it's your job to save the world. That turns them off. Because they'll say, no, I'm running a company and that's my job. I'm saying that by running a successful company and serving the people who work with you, who buy your products, who live around your company, by making all that successful, you are saving the world. So yes, your job as a business leader is not to save the world, it's to become the kind of business leader who serves his company and makes it successful and does what that requires, and then you are saving the world.
Very nice to hear that. You know, it's like almost like a poem that you are saving the world. That's very important. And before I open for questions, and I would like you to give a message. I know that you've been in Brazil.
Many times, yes.
And then I know that you are, as everything's fine, you are coming again in October. It's still...
I don't know because of COVID. I'm not sure that we might have to wait till spring.
Yeah.
You have a lot of COVID in Brazil, and
yes, I know. I
don't think people will want to come to big meetings and conferences in October, but we'll see.
Yeah. So I would like you to tell us, to leave us a message to all the Brazilian people and leaders. What would you say?
About in general, what kind of message?
Yeah, good. About the principles. Which principles? What should we care about? What should we change, perhaps? Because you know a little bit about
Depends
Brazil.
on what you are in Brazil. I mean, each one of us there is unique.
Yeah.
There's no two people on this planet who have the same brain, no matter if your genes are identical, because each of us wires our brains in dialogue with our experience, our lives, our relationships. So it's the first thing you should do as a Brazilian or anybody else. Realize I am unique. I create the world. I am responsible for the world. And then what is my purpose given all this? And how can I best do it? So there will be a different answer for everybody, Vera.
Yeah.
I can't give all of Brazil an answer.
Yeah. But I think it's good that you say I'm unique and I can create the world, because you create your own world. Not someone else is going to do it for you. You do it yourself.
But I also create the world that others have to live in.
Sure.
I am my relationships. I'm not an island. Yeah. Everything I do actually has an effect on the other side of the universe.
Affect all the people, yeah.
I am responsible. So I can't just say, oh, it's my business and I'll make my world and make a world that's comfortable for me. Yeah. What about all those other people that I'm impacting by the way I live my life? So that's what every citizen should think in their own country. What is the way I'm living affecting my fellow citizens? Not just my family. You've got those awful, what are they called? Your slums are called what?
Favela.
Favelas, yes. How many of you people who are rich are aware of the lives of the people in those favelas? I know that in India, the people are not. They can live 2 blocks from a favela and be completely unaware of how people live there. They live behind gated communities with high walls protecting them, and they live their rich lives. Well, if I am to be successful, if I am to be happy, if I am to thrive, you must thrive. You must be successful. You must be happy, because quantum physics tells me you are me and I am you. I am not this island.
I'm just a part of the universe, right?
So what all of us in all of our nations should be thinking about is everybody in our nation having at least a decent life that gives them human dignity? We don't all have to be equal. There can be rich people and less rich people. It depends on your talent and your intelligence and your luck and all that. But everyone in a society should have human dignity, enough to eat, and a place to live. And Brazil has not done that for its people. So something is wrong. Neither has America, I might point out.
We have to think, we have to do many things in Brazil. That's true.
Well,
And
it's not just Brazil. I mean, America, who calls itself the greatest country in the world, has more poverty in it probably than Brazil does.
yeah,
And it does nothing for its poor people. And it's
that's
much
true.
wealthier than Brazil.
That's
So
true.
don't beat yourself up and say we in Brazil are terrible. Just say, now what could we do better? And
Yeah,
as an individual Brazilian, as an individual human being, knowing that your happiness is my happiness, your pain is my pain, just ask yourself every day, what can I do to make somebody else's life just that little bit better? And it may be something so small as smiling at a stranger.
I love doing that.
I think that's one of the things that COVID taught those of us who did a lockdown. I
Yeah.
don't think you locked down in Brazil, but many of us did.
Well, we did, kind of. Well,
I can tell you, after 2 months of not seeing another human face except digitally,
yeah,
the smile of a person on my street when we passed meant everything to me. And even now, without lockdown, I can tell you, if I'm feeling low, if I'm feeling something shitty has happened in my day and I'm feeling low, and I go out there and someone says, hi, gives me a smile, it lifts me. Those little things, Vera,
yes, I
those
know.
little things.
Because
Take
sometimes we are
advice
so,
of the CEO who goes down to the shop floor and says, guys, how are you today? Do you need anything?
exactly.
Have you got
Exactly.
any questions for me? Have you got any suggestions for me? That's a big thing a leader can do.
And they make them feel so proud, so happy, so, part of the company if they do that, right? But I wrote a small poem for you too. And before the questions, Cedar. A leader is more than a leader. Is a student studying eager, getting knowledge from the uncertain feeder of all human beings on earth. A leader is more than a leader. It's a Dana, dear, teaching us the way, feeling the balance away and close to us. A leader is just identification, explanation of all that may stay or go. In our lives and companies, a servant leader, Dana the Cedar. For you.
Thank you. I should point out that what every leader should want to be is a leader of leaders.
Yeah.
A leader should want to elevate his or her people
Yeah.
to the position where they too can lead in that aspect of their lives where they have to be active.
Yeah, they have to take people with them.
Differently if you're trying to nurture their leadership.
Yeah. So we're gonna see the questions right now. They've sent to me my WhatsApp. Let me see. Questions. Oh, I have so many questions here. Fantastic. Oh, they are saying that it's credible and fantastic. She's her academic background is really impressive. What a journey. Some people are asking how to convince CEOs that Ponton leadership is important. Then
Well, I answered that by telling you that they've got to realize we live in a quantum world. And if they want their companies to be successful in a quantum world, they've got to build quantum companies, by which I mean companies that function in the way that living systems function, because a company is not a machine, a company is a living conscious system.
Yeah.
And they've then got to lead in a way that accords with quantum principles, which is not dominating and coming imposing power from the outside, because quantum physics tell us that collapses the wave function, i.e., it destroys the creativity, destroys all the possibilities in the system. We live in a quantum age, and we have to become quantum to succeed in it. And by becoming quantum, I repeat, following those 12 principles that I mentioned, and following the basic principles that make the universe and nature successful, which are quantum principles. Thriving on uncertainty, saying both and, asking lots of questions, realizing that it's your questions that create answers, realizing that everything is connected to everything. My company is not an island. I cannot just close the doors and say, this company is my business. Fuck the world, because my company is part of the world, and the world is part of my company.
So I think asking questions is also good, because you have to think, you have to let your CEO think about it as well, because sometimes they don't really know. They have never ever had contact with the quantum leadership. So
No, but
idea,
this is a challenge for your HR people who are listening.
yeah,
Because HR usually arrange programs for middle management.
yeah,
HR has a moral mission, I think, to take this message to the company, and to do that, you've got to involve the CEO. So
sure.
HR has got to convince the CEO, look, I'm running this program, but it's no good if you don't attend it.
Yeah, exactly. Some people are asking here, soft skills can be a part of spiritual intelligence.
I don't know what they mean by soft skills.
Yeah, well, what we call soft skills, like there are skills like the behavior you have, But I think spiritual intelligence is much more than soft skills. It's special.
It's about your character, really.
Exactly. So spiritual intelligence is about some of your soft skills and the way you are in the world, in contact, in relationship with others. So is this a good explanation?
Well, if this person who asked the question means by soft skills that I'm good with people, that's an EQ gift, an emotional intelligence gift. It can serve as Q if I use being good with people to serve those people, to turn them into leaders in their own right, to give them a chance to fulfill their own potential.
Exactly. Another question here is, some people have hard times to find out what's their purpose. My own method does not serve others. What is your advice to teach people to find out theirs?
My advice isn't what they need. Everyone has the answer with him or herself. You need to sit quietly with yourself and ask yourself, what is my purpose? I can't tell you. Your parents can't tell you. Your boss can't tell you. Your boss can tell you the purpose of your job in the sense of its functionality, but he can't tell you the sense of purpose you're going to feel in doing that job. We've got to stop asking other people to show us the way. Socrates said, quantum physics says, the 14 billion year age that each of us has says, I know those answers. You know those answers. Have the courage to sit quietly and question yourself. Most people try to avoid that. They run away into noise. They run away into chat. They run away into busyness. Stop running away from yourself. Sit with yourself and ask yourself, what do I really want my life to be about?
Very, very important. I think it's very important way to sit quietly and think by yourself, because you have the questions, we have the questions. And sometimes we are afraid to know the answer.
A whole meditation practice follows from that, because once you said, this is what I want to be my life to be about, there follow a zillion questions about, then why isn't it? Why
Yeah.
did I do this today instead of that? Why did I say this thing to somebody instead of a more kind thing? The questions, every day the questions.
Exactly. Let me see if we have more questions here. Can you tell us about a little bit about feeling independent? What do you mean by that? With one of the principles.
Feel independent is a term from psychology. It's what psychologists use. And that it means that I am independent of my surrounding field. Now, my surrounding field is the people in my life, the opinions of those people, the pressure on me to think this, do that, be something. It's the pressure of my parents, the opinions of my teachers, the expectations of my boss, the prejudices of my society. All of these things are putting pressure on each one of us to think and be and do in a certain way. To be field independent is to stand back and say, thank you very much, but no thank you. I will decide what I think. I will decide what I will be. I will decide what I will do. I will decide what is right. And if I have to die for it in fighting for it, I will nonetheless fight for it. If it makes me unpopular, keep your popularity. If it means you tell me I can't be part of your group anymore, if you'll excuse my French, I say fuck your group. Because
yes. Yeah.
But I'm being blunt, so they get the point listening to me.
Sure.
Being field independent means having the courage to make up your own mind about what is right and wrong, and then do it. But as I said, it goes with humility, because the fanatic feels he's right. Donald Trump feels he's right about everything.
That's right.
Your Bolsonaro feels he's right about everything. These are men who have no humility.
No.
When I say I think this is right, I must say to myself ruthlessly, am I sure? Why do I think it is right? Could I be wrong? Could they be right? You reflect on it, you think it through. But then if you decide, no, I'm right and they're wrong, you go for it.
You go for it. Very good. So I'm trying to find the thing here, the questions.
I just say one more thing about that. I'll bet most of the people listening to this worry about what other people think. What will they think if I do this? What will they say if I do this? Will they like me? F them all.
Here in Brazil, we say a lot, don't publish that, don't tell anyone, because they're jealous.
I know.
So it doesn't matter what they think and what they do with the information.
Matter. It matters what I think, what you think.
What you want, what you are happy to do. If they think if you are this or you are that, they are problems, not yours. And that's the point. I think you made a great point. Dana, I'm trying to find a word to say thank you in another way to you, because I think thank you is just so common. And I would like to tell you that I would like to give you a kiss right now and embrace you.
With COVID, you can't do that.
Huh? And because for me, it's a great pleasure. You know, it's like a dream becoming reality. It's really a dream, because reading your books and coming inside your books and knowing a little bit of what you know gave me a kind of freedom, because now I know more than before that I am in the right path, and I owe you a lot because of that. I'm really happy with that, and all the group. We are getting plenty of people. Well, it's great, wonderful. They are loving it, and well, thank you, many thanks. Thank you so much for your
So are we
time.
finishing now?
Huh?
Are we finishing now?
I think we have to finish here.
Well, can I say one poem to finish then?
Yeah.
It's by Rainer Marie Rilke, and it's called Live the Questions Now. I beg you to think of everything in your heart that is unknown. The books in foreign languages, the rooms that are locked. Live the questions. Do not try to live the answers. Do not seek the answers, because you will not be able to live them. Instead, live the questions now. And one day, the questions will lead you to an answer. That's how I want to finish.
That's very nice, and it's very deep as well, because sometimes we are always looking for answers very soon, and we stop asking questions. That's the point. I understand very much the point. I would like to thank AMS and all my team of Fala Company for being here, and Dana, of course, and 17 August, we're gonna have a new event of AMS about violence against women. And then I hope we can talk much more than just today. You can count on me in whatever you want or need from me in Brazil, or wherever you go to. Perhaps we go to Singapore together, who knows? Nothing is impossible in this physics, in this quantum world. And so thank you very, very much to all of you, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.